things just ain't the same for gangsters. Times is changing, young niggas is aging, becoming OGs in the game and changing to make way for these new names and faces. But the strangest things can happen from rapping when niggas get wrapped up in image and acting. Niggas get capped up and wrapped in plastic, zipped up in bags when it happens, that's it. I've seen them come, I've watched them go, watched them rise, witnessed it and watched them blow. Watched them all blossom and watched them grow. Watched the lawsuits when they lost their dough.
Hello, welcome to episode 3 of Who Watches Watching the Detectives, a podcast which is, once again, unlike any other on the internet.
Don't let them tell you otherwise.
Today is actually kind of a sad episode. You may have noticed a lack of presence immediately. Our dear friend and close collaborator, third co-host of the pod, resident Killian expert, Grace, is not with us today.
She unfortunately passed away in a train crash.
In a Killian Meyer-related incident featuring a guest appearance from Influenza A.
But we know she would have wanted us to continue in her memory, so we're dedicating this episode to you, Grace, from up in heaven where you're watching us now.
I know you're looking down at us, you're shaking your head. We know you would want this.
And I've got the Ouija board out back. I'm pretty sure her spirit will be finished manifesting in time for next week's episode.
I hope so. I think she's trying to communicate. Maybe she'll send us some comments about her watch through from the beyond, if we're so lucky.
I'm keeping my eye on the planchette, don't worry.
Alrighty. Do we want to just jump right into it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me ask you this. How was your viewing? Number 3.
Big 03. I don't know what it was. Just, it was kind of a stinker this time.
Well, I think that's just how it goes with the third viewing. Me, personally, I had a very interesting episode 3.
Really?
Yes, instead of watching it on my computer like the first 2 with headphones and like a proper sound mixer, I watched it on my phone in bed, and I got a bunch of YouTube ads. And so I think I really got the proper at-home video experience. Maybe not the one that Neil would want, but the one that big media would want from me. And let me tell you, it took me out of the movie. I don't know if it was because it was the third viewing or because every 5 minutes I was pulled out to watch an Arby's ad, but I couldn't see it as a movie. The montage effect where more meaning is gathered from clips in succession rather than one solid clip did not work for me. I was watching actors on a set today, and I don't know if it made it worse. It certainly made it for a different viewing experience. Comparatively, how did your viewing go?
My viewing was broken up. I watched the first 30 minutes, and then I tried to go to class, and there was a terrible car crash.
Oh, God.
So I turned around, and I went back home.
The universe
and
said,
I watched.
Maybe not.
The universe said, don't go to class today, and I said, okay. And then I watched the last hour, and I have a lot less notes today. I have just over 4 pages of notes.
I have 3 things that I want to talk about. And I've already talked about one of them.
Well, I had a mission, and it was to look at license plates. But before we get into that, I wanted to make a correction for my Letterboxd list that I had created. I had listed the movie Violet rented as Just Before Dawn. And that is not correct. It was actually The Blue Dahlia.
Okay.
And I learned this because I learned that my many minutes of hard work were all for naught. Because Letterboxd user Bonbon has already made a list of all of the movies in Watching the Detectives. And she's included all of the posters as well, which I didn't do. So I've been one-upped.
Ranked competitive autism.
So thank you, Letterboxd user Bonbon. Don't go to my list. Go to their list. I'll try and remember to put it in the description.
Maybe. I don't know.
Along with our own letterboxes, they're not in the first 2 episode descriptions.
We might update and go back. Who knows?
Hard to say.
I don't know how much effort the fans of Who Watching the Detectives expects from us.
Hours of labor.
Well, let me tell you, as somebody who has to edit this, that's pretty accurate to the amount of effort I'm putting in.
Well, don't worry. I have significantly less yappage today.
Well, hopefully with the lack of a host, too. We don't have too much meandering. We can get straight to the meat and potatoes of this movie.
Exactly.
And speaking of, I have a very important announcement to make. I have a new theory.
Oh my god.
It's called Well-Dressed Man Theory. We've been hinting at it in the first 2 episodes, and it's time to really bring it home. Episode 3, Well-Dressed Man Theory, okay?
You're ready to bring him out of retirement?
So here's the thing with well-dressed... For those who don't know who Well-Dressed Man is...
The uninitiated.
Summer, why don't you get him up to speed?
Well, you see, in the background of several scenes in the movie, there exists a cardboard cutout of a man. But not just any man.
A well-dressed man.
Impeccably dressed man. He has a top hat, he has a quite polished suit on, and he's looking all around quite dapper. Tragic incident occurs during the concert scene where Violet lights this well-dressed man on fire, burning his face badly. And yet, like Jesus,
miraculously,
he rises again, and he is seen in another scene.
Multiple scenes, I believe.
It might just be the one. I'm not entirely sure.
I was keeping my eye out for him, and it's important to mention that it's not just any scene where he arrives in. This is the crux of Well-Dressed Man Theory. Every emotionally volatile scene between Neil and Violet, Well-Dressed Man appears, either directly before or directly after. For instance, when they first meet, when Violet first steps through the door, who do we see in the background but Well-Dressed Man? 2. The second scene. I should have really taken notes on which scenes he appeared in.
He appears about 15 minutes into the movie. I'm looking back at my episode 1 notes. He appears at 15:09. That is as Violet is entering. He appears again at 40 minutes, 10 seconds. That is right after the detective scene and before the stalking montage. It's when he asks Lucian and Jason Sudeikis.
Yep. Their first date. That's right. That's absolutely right. Their first date. Well-Dressed Man is there. The scene where they have sex for the second time. The scene where Neil thinks he's being cheated on, where he's like, I have to win her back. She lights Well-Dressed Man on fire. And then, of course, the next viewing after that, he appears. If you could let us know, Summer, I'm so sorry.
Yes, absolutely. Let me jump back. He returns once again in his original unsullied form after the first breakup, when Neil is in his little cowboy outfit before he goes to the blackjack club. And I believe that's the last time he is seen.
I think so, yeah, but it's emotionally volatile between Neil and Violet. There he is. So every time he shows up, something's happening. It's really, he's the signifier of their relationship.
I'm liking this theory a lot more than Tulpa Theory. I think this one really has legs.
Okay. Well, that's how I felt about Tulpa Theory, but I guess they can't all be winners.
They can't. Tulpa Theory is not a winner.
Well, so sorry. Here's the thing about Tulpa Theory. The scene where she's playing basketball, right? She shows up, the dunk slam scene. She's like, okay, yeah. I've come down from the basketball hoop. I need to take a drink from the water I have in my purse. What type of water bottle is she drinking from? Any guesses?
Is it Poland Spring?
Poland fucking Spring. So I think that's part of the inception process. Or maybe there's more to Poland Spring. Maybe Poland Spring is really the epicenter of watching the detectives.
And actually, I will circle back to Poland Spring near the end of my notes, but I think it's time to loop back and go in a more chronological order.
Absolutely, I'm here for commentary at this point. Those were the points that I wanted to establish.
You've completed your list of remarks.
Mm-hmm. I've got some other stuff to say, but I'll pepper them in as you go and you remind me. So,
okay. When Neil is showing off his commercial. Denise didn't show up, and he says, I guess she thought it was stupid, but she seems like kind of a nice person. This feels out of character for her. I'm wondering if perhaps, and this is just a theory, perhaps Neil didn't tell her about the premiere so that he could make her look bad in front of his friends.
I think that's in line for the character we've established throughout the rest of the movie. I don't know, maybe, I think once Lucy Liu shows up, his role in the film kind of changes because he can't be the unreasonable one anymore. But before Lucy Liu arrives, he's very much unreasonable. And so I wouldn't put it past him.
He's ridiculous.
To do some bullshit like that.
She does, however, say that the store is stupid and unprofitable and call his friends dorks. So it is possible that she just didn't want to go, but...
And she's like, you're a loser who's going nowhere in life. So, I don't think she's exactly respecting his
But she agreed to act in the commercial. I don't see why she wouldn't go to the premiere after.
I think maybe that's exactly why she didn't want to go to the premiere. If I wasn't really into movies and then, my movie fan boyfriend put me in a commercial that was going to play for a bunch of movie fans, I don't think I'd want to show up and talk to those movie fans after. They might say I'm a bad actor.
That's so true. She's really just protecting herself.
Exactly.
We can't blame her for that.
That's a theme throughout the women in Neil's life.
Exactly. And then in Violet's introduction scene, and you mentioned this in the last episode, but there's an intro in the movie that he's watching in the background, and he says, watch this intro, and then Violet walks in the door. And then the dialogue in the movie kind of fades into the background. It flips back to Violet's face, and the volume kind of returns to says, wouldn't that break your heart? I really like the framing of that.
No, I really, really, one of my favorite parts about this movie is how often they use footage on the television to add just a little bit of extra, sauce to like it's like a framing device for they're literally establishing what's happening in the movie. Like when Neil is using the mouthwash and he's watching an old commercial on his television about grooming and hygiene standards. And then when Lucy Liu is introduced, there's voice on the television is literally the femme fatale, the one who got away, or whatever. I don't know. I like it. It's a nice little touch.
I started a personal counter. Oh, sorry.
No, I'm just saying this really is the movie guy movie.
It really is. I started a personal counter for how many times Neil gets hit. I kind of fizzled out on keeping track of it, but it is at least 4 times.
Yeah.
He gets smacked around a lot. I also came to the shocking realization that we will be still doing this show on the 20th anniversary of this movie.
I was thinking about that. I'm like, wait a second.
Tragically, this show airs on Fridays, and May 1st, 2027 is a Saturday.
Oh, shit. Maybe we can do a special or something.
Yes, because that would be 20 years to the day since it premiered at Tribeca Film Festival back in 2007.
Oh my god, that rules. That rules. We're so smart. We totally did that on purpose.
Yeah, we're really smart.
I was looking at Grace's logs on Letterboxd of when she watched the movie, and I was seeing if it lined up for any of the dates that we're going to be recording on. And it turns out that the 2-year anniversary of her third watch will be on the 20th of February, which is a Friday.
Ooh.
So, I mean, it's not the first viewing and it's not the second, but the third.
Third time. It's the first time she gave it 5 stars.
Exactly. You know what? That's it. That's it right there. Also done on purpose.
Exactly. It's all the machinations of our mind. They're so complex. The average person would not be able to comprehend the level we think at.
Even we would not be able to comprehend unless through studious effort to understand our own minds.
Exactly. Scholars everywhere should be dedicating their studies to us.
Truly, they should give us a lecture at Harvard, is what we're saying.
Absolutely. And I do think by the end of this podcast, we will have gained enough fame and recognition that we will be speaking at Harvard.
They'll be begging us and we'll say, I don't know, we kind of want to go to Princeton. And then they'll shoot us because we will have reignited 100 years of heated rivalry. And
you can't say the words heated rivalry now in this
I know.
In this entertainment
That's crazy.
era.
That's so fucked up, by the way. Completely off topic. So fucked up. Let me say the words that I want to say.
You can't. It's not possible. I kept a very close track of all the license plates, and I'm pretty sure I caught every single license plate visible in this movie. And unfortunately, none of them have a state on them.
Oh.
Because they are all prop license plates. They have CR, which means they're for commercial usage, and they are like red text on a white license plate background, which I looked it up. And it usually means it's from a dealership, straight from a dealership. So it seems like they pulled these cars right off the film prop lot and didn't make proper license plates for them. So unfortunately, my quest to narrow down the location via license plate has gone nowhere. I've been left empty-handed. But it was not for nothing, because I did find other hints to the potential location during this watch, and we'll find out. There's a scene when they're walking down the street, and in the background, there's a flag of Ireland hanging out the window. I just thought that was a fun little Easter egg. Alternatively, it could be an upside-down flag of the Ivory Coast.
Unfortunately, we have no way of knowing for certain.
We'll never know.
You know, it really is a shame. There isn't like some piece of background information we could really look to differentiate between the two and help us, figure out this mystery.
It's really tragic.
Like, ideally, there would be something in, like, the background of...
No link to anything in the movie.
We could look to and really pinpoint and say, this clues us in and we can know for certain. Like, maybe an accent.
I certainly don't hear any Irish accents in this movie.
No, of course not. That's an American. Nothing but Americans.
An all-American boy with a face like apple pie.
Exactly.
35 minutes in, on the dot, I have a note. Clearly, Neil is the tulpa of Jason Sudeikis.
That is ridiculous? What makes you...
And this is because...
What makes you say that?
Jason Sudeikis proposes the idea of the underground gambling ring, and lo and behold, the detectives appear as though from thin air.
Oh, shit.
To interrogate Neil. This whole scenario exists purely for the entertainment of Jason Sudeikis.
I don't think that's true. I think really what that is it's an example of CIA theory, because what does Lucian say? He says...
You see that? And you thought we don't live in a totalitarian society. All you have to do is even mention opening up a secret gambling joint and the cops crack down on you.
Shut up.
They do live in a totalitarian state.
Exactly.
I feel like we've really turned the podcast on its head if I'm talking about tulpa theory and you're talking about CIA theory.
This is what happens when Grace isn't here.
We really need...
Oh my god.
We need Grace here. Oh my god. And in the detective scene, there is, I mentioned in the last episode, some kind of hawk or eagle holding an iron cross. The Hawksy, if you will, as I mentioned.
No, the sequel to Hawk Tuah.
Yes, exactly. I tried to look more into it. It's engraved with K of M. I could not find anything about what that could mean, and I could not find any iron crosses with that engraving on it. There were some that had KM marked on the very edge of it, and it was like the company that manufactured it, And then also KM, I believe, is an abbreviation for the German word for like their navy. But none of the pictures said K of M. I'm guessing it's maybe a prop from a movie. But again, I tried looking up Iron Cross film props and I came up with nothing. So this is another mystery we're going to have to dig deeper into.
I'm just spitballing here. It could be a kill of murder? Maybe?
That is certainly something. It could also be Cillian of Murphy.
No, of course, that's it. That's clearly it. No, you've cracked the code.
I think we're really onto something. Oh, yeah, I kind of skim over the next couple of scenes. I have just a few small notes that don't really have any wider discussion attached to them. I was wondering to myself what type of fish she has inside her fish tank TV.
We're getting all of the details in this movie.
Absolutely. We need to investigate every possible nook and cranny, and we have the time.
We have so much time. It does worry me a little bit that we've gotten only 3 movie watches in, and we're already looking inside of the fish tank to figure out what type of fish show up for one shot in the 90-minute movie.
Well, I haven't looked inside yet. That was just a note for
myself. Oh,
myself.
the passing thought, I should look into this in the future. I see.
Exactly, because I wanted to know what the husbandry needs of these fish were to see how bad of a fish caretaker Violet is.
Do they have enough room inside? It's a pretty big television, so who knows? This is I like this. This is a good use of our time.
Absolutely.
I changed my mind, yeah. I stand correct.
I also note that in the scene where they're driving to the park and Violet is standing alongside of the road like a horror movie killer, the saturation is kind of cranked up for the scenes where she's shown, and I thought that was really interesting, especially because it's trying to mimic horror movies. I would think they'd want to make it darker to be more ominous, but it's very, very saturated. And then at 52:26, I have a note that just says "fat fucking chud orange cat."
Holy shit! I don't remember a fat orange cat. Garfield?
Maybe we'll Garfield reference potentially. We might have to put Garfield: A Tale of Two Kitties on the letterbox.
God, that's the sequel. That's the second Garfield movie.
Exactly, the most important Garfield movie.
Okay.
As he's standing outside the bar, I paused on the sign so I could read it, and it absolutely says Balanza. I don't know how Grace thought it said Hacienda.
But then later he says he refers to the location as Baltimore Jacks.
Yes, and I have that as a note. Balanza is Spanish for balance, which I think it stands behind Neil and it frames over his head, and I think it's kind of referencing to where Neil is mentally at this point of the film.
Absolutely.
He's trying to find balance between who he used to be and who Lucy Liu is forcing him to become. But then he goes to a different place. He goes to Baltimore Jacks instead. Which is, Baltimore is in Maryland?
Yes, Maryland. It's part of the big 3 East Coast cities. It's part of what's it called? The Northeast Megalopolis.
Megalopolis, you say? Yeah, Baltimore Jacks is likely a reference to Bruce Springsteen's Hungry Heart.
You know what? I believe you.
There's a line in the beginning. It's like, I got a wife and kids back in Baltimore, Jack.
Okay.
There's also an esteemed mountain climber hiker named Baltimore Jack. But I feel like Bruce Springsteen is more fitting for a bar that plays music.
Also, given that the movie is a reference to an Elvis Costello song.
Exactly. I also just wanted to say, I have a note. It's not time-stamped, so I don't know what exactly brought this on. But it just says the V-neck budget in this movie is astronomical.
Grace was talking about that too last episode.
There are so many V-necks.
That might just be like a side effect of the 2000s. What's crazy?
It's really bad.
What's crazy and absolutely fucked up to me is I didn't even notice that there were V-necks in the movie. It didn't even cross my mind that was unusual.
In your fucked up, twisted mind, that's just a normal shirt.
That's a normal neck.
Oh, it shows his office again, and he has a rotary phone as well as a Jaws cutout. And I definitely need to pause in one of my future watches to try and pick out more stuff in his office because it's ridiculous.
So I guess it makes sense because the movie is called Watching the Detectives. The location of the store is called Gumshoe Video. So it would make sense that his office is like detective themed. But again, it really doesn't make sense for his office to be like a noir detective office. You run a video store. What are you doing?
His door says Neil Lewis, P.I.
He's not a private investigator. You run a video store. Neil, you have
Clearly.
You have one advert. You have one commercial where you're a detective. What are you doing?
He is not a private investigator. He is clearly a professional impersonator.
On account of all the costumes. You're so right. He likes to play
games, you little cocksucker.
I have one final note, and for this note, I really want you to think back to Baltimore Jacks to Maryland. Keep Maryland in your mind's eye.
Crab cakes, chowder.
So the Poland Spring truck, I just couldn't get off my mind. I had to look into Poland Spring. I feel like that's the thread that I've been missing this entire time. And I learned a lot of things about Poland Spring. For one, I learned it's not from Poland. It's from Maine. There is a city in Maine called Poland. And that's where it's from. I also learned that Poland Spring water is sold in a limited selection of places, including DC, Virginia, and Maryland.
Oh my God. Does this movie take place in Maryland?
Well, you see, I thought I had cracked the code, and so I looked it up, and no, it doesn't take place in Maryland. And also, it doesn't take place in any of the other places. It was filmed in New York.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
So it was all for nothing, and fuck me, I guess.
Huh. It looks like the Midwest.
This movie takes place in Maryland, and they can never take that from me.
You cracked the code. That's where the movie is set. It makes sense. That's why he does that accent in the beginning.
What was that for?
Dish was due back last Thursday. And besides, he forgot to rewind.
And that's all. That's all, folks. I don't have any more notes.
Oh,
I dedicated.
Oh my God! The planchette's moving. Holy shit! The planchette. Are you
what?
The planchette's moving.
Oh my God, Grace!
Grace is saying, I feel like I absorbed it more than watched it today. Like I sat there with my eyes glazed over. Definitely not an experience I recommend for anybody. I don't think my displeasure with the movie is the movie's fault. I just think I've gotten to a point where I'm starting to memorize it, so the plot just absolutely dragged on with this watch.
The planchette is moving at an absolutely rapid pace. I don't know how you translated all of that so smoothly.
I'm a speed reader. World famous professional speed reader. I have to disagree. I can't, maybe not disagree is not the right word. My experience, this movie flew by. Maybe it was the fact that I was watching actors acting in a scene and not a movie. And maybe it was the every 5 minutes, the break to watch an Arby's ad. But I was like halfway through the movie and I was like, it felt like I barely watched it at all.
I feel like this movie can be broken up into three pretty distinct chunks. There's the first 30 minutes, and then there's about a 45-minute slog in the middle. And then everything interesting happens in the last 15 minutes.
No, I got 56 minutes in, and then I accidentally touched the screen, and I was like, huh, I'm further into the movie than I thought I was. Which is weird, because I know every scene. I think at this point, I'm starting to get to the point where if I closed my eyes and thought about it real hard, I could watch the whole movie in my head.
That's so scary. Do you have any closing comments, Eleanor?
Let me see. Again, I'm flying through the movie in my head right now. Not really. I'm sure we're gonna stop recording and I'm gonna immediately remember like 4 things I wanted to talk about, but that's my own fault for watching it in bed and not taking any notes.
Exactly. You can jot any thoughts down for episode 4 because, folks, we watched Watching the Detectives. That was episode 3. Thank you so much for watching, because you can watch a podcast, Grace.
Grace, you're not here to say otherwise, but you can watch a podcast.
You absolutely can, and you just did.
You just did.
That's all, folks.
I'm Eleanor.
I'm Summer.
And this is the 4th outro to this video.
It certainly is. Would you like to make a 5th?
Yeah. Give me another take. Give me another take.
Absolutely. We just watching this. I can't.
Now, this is very special to me because in the early 2000s, I was in America and I wasn't really happy with the sort of work I was doing, and I wasn't really happy with my approach to acting, and everyone was like, man, you gotta watch Cassavetes, and like it was kind of embarrassing that I hadn't watched it by then. So I went out and I bought this collection